Welcome to the January 17th, 2021 service at Christ United Church in Lynn, Ontario. Today's service is an interfaith service to recognize World Religion Day 2021, which is today. I'm Jane Lister. I am a member of Christ United Church here in Lynn, Ontario. We would like to acknowledge the original inhabitants of this great land and express our appreciation for their hospitality, for the manner in which they care for the land, and for the opportunity we have to create a unified community that is centered around the oneness of humanity.
Good morning, if you're watching this in the morning. I'm Catherine Carey, a member of the Baha'i community of Brockville. I'd like to acknowledge the leadership of Reverend Wendy McLean, minister for this church, for her leadership in recent years regarding interfaith gatherings, and this church for hosting them. Today's interfaith service includes contributions from members of different faiths locally and from several other countries.
We will start with a Christian prayer based on Ephesians 4:25. O Lord, as we work together, let us be the light that leads the world to you. God, teach us to be good role models to the people around us so that when they see you and your love within us, they would want to know you more and more. God, grant us the patience to work together. Bring us all together as a family. Let us work together with understanding and compassion in our hearts. Let us not be rude or arrogant toward one another as we light the way to your heavenly kingdom. And this is from Unity Prayers, www.jesuitresource.org.
This reading is from a tablet by Baha'u'llah. The great being saith, O ye children of men, the fundamental purpose animating the faith of God and his religion is to safeguard the interests and promote the unity of the human race, and to foster the spirit of love and fellowship amongst men. Suffer it not to become a source of dissension and discord, of hate and enmity. This is the straight path, the fixed and immovable foundation. Whatsoever is raised on this foundation, the changes and chances of the world can never impair its strength, nor will the revolution of countless centuries undermine its structure. Our hope is that the world's religious leaders and the rulers thereof will unitedly arise for the reformation of this age and the rehabilitation of its fortunes. Let them, after meditating on its needs, take counsel together, and through anxious and full deliberation, administer to a diseased and sorely afflicted world the remedy it requireth. The song is from More Voices, 154, Deep in Our Hearts, all verses.
Deep in our hearts there is a common vision. Deep in our hearts there is a common song. Deep in our hearts there is a common story telling creation
In the year 2000, I planned to attend an Elijah Interfaith Institute summer school. However, a conflict in the Middle East caused the cancellation of what would have been a trip to Jerusalem, hotels for a 2-week period, and the experience of a lifetime. Time passed, and in the wake of the global pandemic, I found that the Elijah Summer School was happening by Zoom in August 2020, so I enrolled. It was a rich experience and has led to a link with this Jerusalem-based institute with our local Brockville and area interfaith group. Elijah Interfaith Institute has given us permission to use their materials. The December 2020 recording that follows includes a Buddhist prayer, an Islamic prayer, and a Jewish prayer. These are introduced by Rabbi Alon Goshen Gottstein. And this is from a video recording dated December 1st, 2020, of the opening of the 9th Biennial Elijah Board of Religious Leaders.
So this brings me to our next prayer offering, and it's a very, very special moment for us because we have Bikunu Kusuma with us, who hasn't been with us for quite some time due to the fact that, unlike most people who get older, she gets younger, but now she's gotten so young that it's hard for her to travel. I think at the tender age of 92, we're extremely grateful to Bikuni for having made the journey, especially from where she resides to Colombo, just so she can be with us. A pioneer in the institution of female Buddhist monasticism. She's been a pioneer in many ways, and it's a great honor for us to ask her to offer a prayer to set us off on the way.
It's lovely nighttime here. I love to see all of you. It is such a blessing for me to see all of you. And I will be blessing the Metta Bhavana, that is, I give loving kindness to the entire world of living beings. So, may I say it in Pali and then translate it for you? Uddang adocha tiriyancha asambadang averan asapatang sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta uddang adocha tiriyancha asambadang averang asapatang sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta uddang adocha tiriyancha asambadang averang asapatang sabbe satta bhavantu sukhitatta. May I translate it for you? May all living beings be well and happy. May they be free from pain and suffering. May they be free from anger and hatred. May they be free from enmity. May all living beings be well and happy. May all living beings be well and happy. This is the Metta Bhavana, which is very short. It is a Bhavana that we make morning, noon, and night, anytime, any posture, and it is the preoccupation of the mind.
Thank you, Bikuni. We're very grateful to you.
Thank you.
I'm going to ask next Brother Imam Faisal Abdul Rauf to share with us a Muslim prayer to move us into our process. Faisal?
Thank you. In the name of the one God, the creator of the universe, Allah, the God of Adam, the God of Noah, the God of Abraham, the God of Ishmael and Isaac, the God of Moses and Aaron, the God of Mary and Jesus Christ, the God of Muhammad, and the God of all the prophets, named and unnamed, upon whom be peace. We pray that this meeting of the Elijah Institute bring us together, and where we find the common values and the common platform consisting of the common values of all our faith traditions. May we be blessed, O Allah. May you guide us in these 3 days of deliberations to enable us to be instruments of your will, to enhance peace in this world, and to enhance better relationships among the inhabitants of all the faith traditions. O Lord, may you bless us and guide us in this objective. Amen.
Amen. Beautiful, beautiful. Thank you. Rabbi Michael Shudrick, Chief Rabbi of Poland, has had a change of plan, so he can't do the job we had originally assigned him. So I'm surprising him now, unexpected, but this is part of the job of rabbis, to be surprised and do things impromptu. Michael, a prayer.
A prayer, okay. After the beautiful words of the Imam, I think the best thing I could pray is just say, Amen, Amen. That this is one should not try to improve upon that which is already, quite perfect. But it's maybe perhaps more than a prayer than a reflection that we just read this past Shabbat. The fragment of the Parshat Vayetze, and towards the end we have this fascinating episode where Yaakov comes face to face with his father-in-law Lavan, which clearly they don't have a good relationship, but still they have to find a way to have a relationship with each other, because they're going to be part of each other's lives. And then you have this, they make a matzeva, kind of a monument or a pillar, and Yaakov calls it Gal-Eid, and Lavan calls it Yigar Sahaduta, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the only time in the 5 books of Moses in the Torah that we have something that's not in Hebrew. That it is so important to reach out to the other that the Torah is going to let us use non-Hebrew in the Holy Torah. The only time is because it teaches us to reach out to the other. Yigar Sahaduta, Gal-Ed, which is, and that symbolizes for me how important it is with any religious tradition to reach out to the other. And as a final reflection, really something that I learned very strongly, both from my father, Zichrono Livracha, and from Pope John Paul II. Also Zichrono Livracha, that the more open you are to other religious traditions, the more it strengthens your own faith in your own tradition. That sometimes people could think that if I'm open to another religion, it's going to weaken my faith. And what I've understood both from my father, Zichrono Livracha, and John Paul II, Zichrono Livracha, of blessed memory, is that the more open you are to other faiths, the deeper then you become, more attached you become to your own faith. Thank you.
This song is called Mankind is One. The text is by Baha'u'llah. Mankind is one, the earth is one country, ye are the leaves of one branch, the fruits of one tree. Mankind is one, the earth is one country, ye are the leaves of one branch, the fruits of one tree. Set your faces toward unity. Let the radiance of its light shine upon you. Gather ye
Ye are the leaves of one branch, the fruits of one tree. Mankind is one, the earth is one country. Ye are the leaves of one branch, the fruits of one tree. Set your faces toward unity. Let the radiance of its light shine upon you. Gather ye together, and for the sake of God, root out contention amongst you.
I would like to take this opportunity to introduce Ahmed Kadra, acting Imam for the Brockville area, and videotaped this week, relating a story of interfaith cooperation in Damascus, Syria.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Peace be upon all and each one of you. On December 12, 1928, in Damascus, Syria, unusual funeral passed the streets of Damascus. 50,000 Muslims walked side by side with their fellow Christians behind the funeral of Patriarch Gregory IV, Patriarch of Antioch, Syria. On his funeral, which was treated as a royal funeral, 101 guns went off respecting him. King Faisal, the son of King Hussein, sent 100 royal mounties respecting the patriarch. The patriarch was called the father of the poor and the needy. What is behind his story? Patriarch Gregory IV was born in a valley west of Damascus, in a small town in the valley, and at the age of 47, after going through several schools and colleges, he was elected to the position of Patriarch of Antioch, Syria on August 26, 1906. During his time, there was a big famine between 1913 1918, and he sold everything he possessed, and everything was possessed by his church, to buy food, breads, and to feed the needy. There are several stories in my mind. I will share a few of them. The first one time he noticed that a man walked away from the church empty-handed. He called the officer he was in charge to give food to the people, which was only one loaf of bread. What is the story behind that man? The officer reported he was not a member of our church. The patriarch asked the officer, "Would you please get me a loaf of bread?" And he asked the man, "Show me where it is written on the loaf of bread the name of the person who will eat it. Show me on the loaf of bread where is said, don't give it but to your followers, the religion of the eaters. You give a loaf of bread to every person come to your desk. Is it not humiliating enough for them that they are coming here asking for bread?" The other story, next to the church in Damascus, there is a mosque. And the imam of the mosque at that time, Muhammad Bsisi, lent some money to one of the fellow Christians. And the Christian man would not pay his debt. So the imam decided to report him to the patriarch. the patriarch turned to the Imam and he said, would you please recite the chapter of Mary, the mother of Jesus, from the Quran? The Imam did. And by the end, the patriarch was crying and was weeping. He paid the debt for that man and he asked the Imam, please forgive us. So the patriarch had main focus on the humanity, main focus on the food for the needies, main focus for the shelter for the needies. Every person in the whole area, mainly in Damascus and Beirut, all of them known him by the father of the needies. If a person like that is not a good leader, who would not be? A person like Patriarch Gregory IV is not a religious figure, who would be? I have full respect to Patriarch IV, Gregory IV, and I would love to see all the leaders, all the religious figures following his step in humanity and kindness. I thank you very much.
This song is from Voices United 7:13. I See a New Heaven, verses 1 and 4.
I see a new heaven, I see a new earth, as the old one will pass away, where the fountain of life flows, and with that bright flows to all people alive of the land. There on the banks of a river bright and free, yielding her fruit, firm in her root, the tree of life will be. I see a new heaven, I see a new earth, as the old one will pass away, where the fountain of life flows, and with the bright flows to all people abide in the land. There where we work with the love of healing hands, there where we must, true to our trust, to build a promised land. I see a new heaven, I see a new earth, as the old one will pass away, where the fountain of life flows, and with the bright flows to all people who abide in the land.
Jane Lister and I will share the reading of this message. It's an interfaith message. It's an online news article entitled Prime Minister Justin Trudeau Holds Virtual Meeting with Religious Leaders. And it's from the Canadian Baha'i News Service, dated December 8th, 2020. On December 3rd, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau joined a dialogue with a diverse group of religious leaders from across Canada to talk about the contribution of faith communities in the context of the pandemic. Quote, I have been proud of our fellow Canadians to make it through this pandemic, but we have seen countless examples of stepping up, helping out, and contributing to their communities, said the Prime Minister. He continued, quote, the measures each of you have put in place to keep your communities safe have been very important. You have also been very strong in continuing a message that is not familiar to you. The encouraging of people who are tired and frustrated by what life is throwing at them, to stay the course, think of the long term, and doing good towards others, to make sacrifices and hang in there and keep doing the right thing, close quote.
The meeting was hosted by the Canadian Council of Churches, the Canadian Interfaith Conversation, and the Canadian Multi-Faith Federation. Over 400 people joined the conversation on a virtual meeting platform, including about 20 local and national Baha'i representatives. The participants were addressed by Minister of Labour Philomena Tassi and Minister of Diversity and Inclusion and Youth Bardis Shagar. The speakers included representatives from a range of religious communities, including the Jewish, Protestant, Catholic, Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Sikh, and Baha'i communities. Quote, COVID has taught us how to set our priorities and values, reflected Imam Hamid Slimi. Quote, it has humbled us and turned us to faith for consolation and support. This is the essential nature of religious service. Cardinal Gerald Lacroix added, quote, faith allows us to live daily in love and service. Love sustains us and allows us to go through the storm filled with hope, and this allows us to be believers and citizens. Other speakers emphasized the ways in which religious communities are undertaking practical acts of service to care for those around them, especially the elderly and the vulnerable.
The closing blessing for the event was given by Deloria Bighorn, chairperson of the National Spiritual Assembly of the Baha'is of Canada. Quote, beyond all our vast diversity, the human family is one, and that understanding must be at the heart of all our discourse and all our actions, she said. Quote, religion calls us to come together as a united human family in the face of an unprecedented dire crisis. It is precisely in the face of such great challenges as we have with the pandemic that the power of faith shines. It is a force capable of healing, of generating self-discipline and restoring commitment to noble behavior, close quote. Ms. Bighorn reflected that, quote, our ability to move as one is our best response to this pandemic, close quote. In this connection, she shared the following passage from the Baha'i scriptures, quote, do not be satisfied until each one of you whom you are concerned is to you as a member of your family. Regard each one either as a father, or as a brother, or as a sister, or as a mother, or as a child. If you can attain to this, your difficulties will vanish. You will know what to do, close quote.
Unite and bind together the hearts. Unite and bind together the hearts. Join in chorus souls. Join in chorus.
Indigenous message. The following is an excerpt from a video talk on reconciliation by the Honorable Senator Murray Sinclair entitled Christian and Indigenous People Can Coexist, dated December 1st, 2020, and hosted by Assumption University at the University of Windsor. Quote, "It is the loss of the purity of the teaching that often results in things going wrong, and we need to understand that. The teachings of Jesus or the teachings of Muhammad are really consistent with what our original ancestor taught us as well. Anishinaabe, when lowered to the earth, brought all these teachings to us. There is only one God, and if there is only one God, then he is my God too. You have to understand that one God has put his spirit in all of us, that in all creation he is present." Unquote. And this is translated from the video at www.assumption.ca, Senators Sinclair. Jewish message. The next video excerpt is a message about making friends with people from different faiths by the late former Chief Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, who passed away in 2020. He was the Chief Rabbi for the English-speaking world. He had many roles and was an academic. He was also made a Lord by Queen Elizabeth. I was grateful to attend or be able to attend a recent Zoom memorial gathering for him from Ottawa. The video is shared with permission from the Elijah Interfaith Institute in Jerusalem.
Enough of hate, enough of divisions, enough of war and violence in God's name. We have caused too many tears. The time has come for us to stand together. Let us stand together. At the beginning of the Bible, we are told how God created every human being in his image according to his likeness. Now we know that no two human beings are alike. So what the Bible is telling us is that even somebody who is not in my image, whose language, whose culture, whose creed, whose traditions are different from mine, is nonetheless in God's image. The Bible is challenging me to see a trace of God in the face of a stranger. And that is how religion should lead us, to extend our imaginative embrace and our hand of friendship across the boundaries between faiths. God is so much bigger than any of us in our particular tradition can comprehend. It is by coming to see that trace of God in the face of a stranger that faith allows us to come together across all the barriers that otherwise divide us. Coming to know leaders of other faiths, Christian, Muslim, Sikh, Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, Zoroastrian, Baha'i, and so many others, you begin to realize the number of different ways people have a sense of the same things that inspire us. The sense of the holy, the sublime, the sanctity of life, what makes each individual precious, the idea of hospitality, the idea of working for the welfare of others. All of these things we do, but we do in such different ways. So the more I encounter people of other faiths, the more ways I realize that we can be true to something within us that is bigger than all of us. And that is the way different faiths give us so much wider a perspective on the way God works through the human spirit.
And now we will sing the Lord's Prayer from Voices United, number 921.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it those that trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever.
Wherever you may go, I will follow, and your people shall be my people too.